The honourable member for Newmarket, Aurora.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and it's an honour to rise today to speak again on Bill S-231. And I recall the last time I spoke in the House, I think it was at second reading in May. My time was also truncated, so perhaps, but perhaps we'll be able to get what I need to say in the short period of time that we have here. Madam Speaker, this bill came to this House by way of the sponsorship from my good friend from Louis Saint Laurent from the other place. It's being debated here in the last few minutes of private members' business on our second day back after we're being in our constituencies for the summer. But these facts, Madam Speaker, these facts shouldn't belie the importance of this bill, Madam Speaker. This is a fundamental bill. This will be a fundamental underlining of what we see as important to Canadians and as Canadians, Madam Speaker. This bill fundamentally is about democracy. And democracy, Madam Speaker, it has been said, is the worst government except for all of the other types. So what we have to hold it dear. We must cherish our democracy. And our democracy, Madam Speaker, isn't going to remain strong and robust if the good people here in this place and throughout Canada stand idly by and do nothing. Democracy, like all that we love, like all that we cherish, must always be nourished. It must always be improved, Madam Speaker. And I think this bill, at its essence, improves our democracy. And why is that so, Madam Speaker? It's so for many reasons, but let me take the brief time I have to elaborate on one or two of them. I believe it was the British Member of Parliament, Lord Macaulay, who first said, the media is the fourth pillar of democracy after the executive, Parliament, and the judiciary. The media plays just an important role. Well, none of us here today would imagine democracy could exist without Parliament. None of us here today could possibly fathom democracy without an effective judiciary. None of us here, Madam Speaker, would even dare to dream of government or democracy existing without an executive answerable to Parliament. Well, Madam Speaker, I suggest a robust media is as important as these other three branches of government. And without, Madam Speaker, the protection of journalists and journalistic sources, there can be no free media. Make no mistake about it. That is how democracies die in this world, Madam Speaker. When journalists can't do their job, when journalists can't speak truth to the people that send us here, when journalists are afraid of the state, when journalists fear for their safety and the security of them and their own families, Madam Speaker, this is what we're talking about here. We need to make no mistake about this. Bill S-231, at its essence, is the foundation of democracy, and I urge every member in this House to support it. It's a fantastic piece of legislation. It's been amended in committee. This is what we need to support. This bill highlights where democracy meets, where the law meets, where journalism meets, all important and fundamental principles of our free society. I professionally am a lawyer, Madam Speaker, and I am entitled to privilege. Lawyer-client privilege is one of the most sacred tenets of our law. I couldn't possibly have done my job as a lawyer without my client having the full and utmost confidence in knowing whatever they said to me, I could never tell another soul. That, Madam Speaker, fosters truth. That, Madam Speaker, is how people can be confident in the system, how people can be free to say what they need to say. Well, I, for one, Madam Speaker, as a lawyer, don't think that privilege is any more important than the same privilege a journalist has when they're speaking to their sources. How will the wrongs of the world be righted if good people don't have people to speak to and explain the wrongs, Madam Speaker? Those journalists take those stories of woe and corruption and fraud, and bring them to the people. Without journalism, these stories do not see the light of day, Madam Speaker. And not only will these stories die, Madam Speaker, not only will the people who want to tell the stories potentially die, but I suggest, Madam Speaker, democracy itself will die, and I, for one, will not stand by and let democracy die. I urge all members to support Bill S-231. Thank you, Madam Speaker.